Good morning, Nova Nation. It's WXVU Sports Director David Szczepanski, and it's playoff football time at Villanova Stadium as your Wildcats get ready to take on the Eastern Kentucky Colonials in round one of the FCS Playoffs at Villanova Stadium, a venue that has been very nice to Villanova over the past couple years. They have won 15 consecutive games at home at Villanova Stadium. Your Wildcats ranked 11th as they head into the FCS Playoffs. They are the 11th seed. They'll take on Eastern Kentucky today at 2 p.m. Should be a fun one, but also a very cold one. When I'm filming this video, it's about 32 degrees. The wind chills have temperatures in the low to mid 20s, and we're not really going to get out of the low to mid 30s today, even at game time later this afternoon at Villanova Stadium. So if you're coming to the game, make sure to bundle up. It's not going to be as windy as the game against Delaware last Saturday, but wind gusts will still be around 15 miles per hour. I'm going to be heading over to the tailgate in a little bit, doing some more interviews, so stay tuned for that. Villanova coming off their largest win of the season, a 10-point victory against Delaware, a very good Delaware Blue Hens team in what could be the final battle of the blue last Saturday. In Villanova, they forced 4 turnovers. Connor Watkins threw for over 200 yards. He had a passing touchdown, a really nice rushing touchdown, and Brendan Bell became the first player in Villanova program history to have both an offensive and a defensive touchdown in the same game. So a lot of good things, positive things coming out of that game against Delaware. Turning the table, Villanova, of course, 9-3 heading into the FCS playoffs, 6-2 in CAA play. They won 4 of their last 5 games of the season with the exception against Monmouth a couple weeks ago, but they really responded well off of that loss to the Hawks a couple weeks ago with the win against Delaware. As for Eastern Kentucky, they lost 4 of their first 7 games to begin their 2024 schedule and season, but they ended the season on a 5-game winning streak. So they're coming into Villanova Stadium hot. That's how they got into the playoffs. They won 5 straight. They finished the season with an 8-4 overall record. When you look at this team, their offense is pretty inconsistent. They're only averaging about 22, 23 points per game. Their starting quarterback, Matt Morrissey, has 13 passing touchdowns this season. He's also thrown for more than 2,000 yards. But the big issue, in addition, has 13 passing touchdowns, but has 8 interceptions. So not a good ratio there. 13 passing touchdowns for Morrissey, 8 interceptions. In addition to that, the rushing attack is really what will control this offense for Eastern Kentucky, especially if they're going to score some points today against Villanova's really good defense. Joshua Carter leads the rushing attack for the Colonials. He has 1,100 rushing yards this season for Eastern Kentucky. He's also rushed for 13 rushing touchdowns. He's been a really spark. He's provided much of a spark for this Eastern Kentucky team. So Joshua Carter, that's how their offense runs. He's going to be the main player to watch for the Colonials today. In terms of their passing offense, talked a little bit about Morrissey, their starting quarterback. They have 2 wide receivers that they will use a lot. You have Marcus Colwise Jr. as well as Daquan Stanley. Colwise Jr. is a freshman, but he has around 500 receiving yards this season. He also has 4 touchdowns. And then Stanley has 5 touchdown receptions this season. So Stanley and Colwise Jr., the 2 wide receivers to watch out for. They make up 9 of the 13 passing touchdowns that Morrissey has thrown this season. And the Colonials have no other wide receiver besides Stanley and Colwise Jr. that has more than 1 touchdown reception this season. So that just shows how inconsistent their offense can be. Talking about their defense, the Eastern Kentucky team is really led by their rushing defense. They'll only give up about 145 yards on the ground per game, so they do a really good job limiting the rushing attack for teams. So we'll see how David Abbott does. Had less than 30 yards last week against Delaware, but also had a rushing touchdown, and he was named CAA Offensive Rookie of the Year earlier this week. We'll see how him and Ragland can kind of team up and hopefully get to this Colonials rushing defense. But their passing defense for Eastern Kentucky is really bad. And when you think about the passing defenses that Villanova's faced this season, the ones that have been really struggling, you think about Colgate earlier on in the beginning of the season, North Carolina A&T, as well as Monmouth. But this passing defense is up there in terms of one of the worst. They allow about 240, 250 passing yards per game. Now, Villanova's offense has been mainly run by their rushing attack, especially in the first half of the season. But over the past 3 or 4 games, Connor Watkins has looked really good. He's fully healthy again. He's looked good in the passing game as well as the rushing game. So I think Villanova will pass the football today, and they should have some success just looking at the numbers for this Eastern Kentucky team. But like I said, the Colonials, they are hot coming into this game. They have won 5 straight games. Their last 4 games, though, even though they have won their last 4, they have all been decided by a touchdown or less, and they have not given up more than 27 points to an opponent, the last time they gave up 27 points to an opponent was all the way back in middle of October. So it's been about, a month and a half or so since they have given up 27 points, or I should say more than 27 points to an opponent. So their defense has been really good, especially during this hot streak. And it's always dangerous when you face a hot team, right? Getting hot at the right time. That's what the playoffs are about. But Villanova's hot in their own right. As I said, they have won 4 of their last 5. Now time for my keys to the game. I have 3 of them. My first one for Villanova, I was thinking about this last night, trying to get my keys to the game, where I wanted to go. But my first one for the Wildcats, I think, is just to shut down the rushing attack in Joshua Carter of this Eastern Kentucky team and make them beat you by throwing the football. And Morrissey has shown that he will throw interceptions. He will turn the football over, right? 13 passing touchdowns, but 8 interceptions, as I said earlier, not a good ratio. So make him throw the football, try to eliminate Joshua Carter from having a big game. And Marcus Yarns did have a really nice game for Delaware last week. He was probably one of the best players out there on the field, maybe the best player out there on the field, and there's a reason why he's getting NFL draft attention. But when you think about the games before that, Youngstown State had a really good running back. Some other teams that Villanova has faced this season had really good running backs, and Villanova shut them down. So hopefully they could do the same today against Joshua Carter and Eastern Kentucky. My second key to the game for the Wildcats, I said this last week, is try to force a turnover, right? You want to win the turnover battle. Eastern Kentucky will allow turnovers, especially with Morrissey and interceptions. Win the turnover battle, and I really like Villanova's chances because they already have a clear talent advantage over Eastern Kentucky coming into this game. My third key to the game for the Wildcats is just Connor Watkins. That's it. Connor Watkins, as I said a minute or so ago, has been so good in the past 3 games. He's been passing the football really well again, similar to what we saw last year out of Connor Watkins, where he threw for over 2,600 yards. And in addition to that, he looks to be back running the football, right? He had a really great 30-plus yard run. That was a touchdown last week against Delaware where he looked fully healthy. Running at full speed, sprinting at full speed. He looked great. So Connor Watkins, if he has a good game today, Villanova will have a good game today and get to round 2 of the FCS playoffs. And that's the goal today, Nova Nation. Survive and advance. Get to round 2 of the FCS playoffs. But first, you'll have to beat Eastern Kentucky. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. at Villanova Stadium as the Wildcats look to win their 16th straight home game at the corner of Lancaster and Ithan Avenue. I'll be there. Our WXVU coverage, I'll be on air with Stephen Kane and Dominic Ricchetti. Our WXVU pregame show will begin at 1:30 p.m. Have a great day, Nova Nation. Stay tuned for more action. I'll have coverage throughout the afternoon, as well as some videos from the tailgate, which we'll be heading to next. I'm coming to you from near the law school here on West Campus. I'm David Szczepanski, WXVU Sports Director. Have a great day, Nova Nation. And as always, go Cats!